Every single day of our lives, we buy and ingest things we have no knowledge of, don't we? We have no knowledge of what we ingest. If you have soap, toothpaste, mouthwash, if you have packaged foods, bottled water, you have no idea what's in there. It's not like everybody has a laboratory in their homes and they can back engineer chemicals, right? They can't do that. So we just trust the package label, ingest it with no worry about any side effects or anything else. But when it comes to a controversial subject like a vaccine, all of a sudden everybody gets scared. But it doesn't make sense. Why would somebody place something harmful in something nobody's going to take in the first place or going to be skeptical about? If somebody, it's kind of like there was a person who was convinced the FBI and the police were after him, right? Now, this is somewhat comical, but they were convinced of this. And after discussing some things with the individual, because they said they're trying to catch him, I said, how long? It's been happening for 25 years. Really? 25 years they've been after you. Of all people on earth, after you. And then I said, well, they must not be any good at anything. If they can't catch you after 25 years and you have no firearms, your last vehicle is kaput, you can't really go anywhere, they must be no good. Right? But people love to believe, it's almost like people are becoming more and more schizophrenic. It was like a big mental health issue is going on, but we know what it really is. It's confusion. It's confusion, mass confusion. If somebody wanted to get anybody, they could get everybody with little effort. If somebody wanted to kill everybody, they could do so with little effort. It wouldn't take much effort. It wouldn't. It really wouldn't. But when you have these grand ideas, for example, now this is not going to be graphic. This is an example. Why would somebody go through the trouble? And by the way, this is, you could think of this as real. But why would somebody go to the trouble like Iran? If Iran really wanted to target someone, right? If a country wanted to target someone, why would they have a bomber go and strap bombs on them, run in a building just to blow one person up, when they could easily send someone or have somebody on the inside fill out an application at a restaurant that a person normally goes to, have that person work in that restaurant for about 6-7 months, right? And then anytime they get ready, begin to make it miserable for that person. Because I tell you, the second scenario happens all the time. And it's a very difficult thing to track because it really happens on a daily basis. The public doesn't hear about these things. All the public hears about are people strapping bombs to themselves and blowing things up in the street. That's so obvious. And nobody really works like that anymore. Just like, they don't work like that anymore. If a country does something public like that, believe me, they're making a statement. And until this time, to this very day, many people should extract that countries have made statements publicly. But when it comes to really getting someone, they do that very effectively and efficiently. All too often, they do what's called grandstanding, to pass a message, to cause the populace to become unnerved or unhinged. Because in truth, if they really wanted to pinpoint someone, they have little issue in doing it. This happens all the time. You'd be surprised how many people they have extracted from post offices, from restaurants, right? From working in these places, where they have actually performed operations in certain towns. You'd be shocked. That's how it normally works, right? There are untraceable chemicals that you can put in bottled water. That has already happened in several cities in the last 5 years. No, they won't publicize that because that will scare you to pieces. And so they have people think in this mindset like the movies. And so if nothing blows up, you're fine, right? Because if you knew the true story, you would be paranoid every day of your life. And most people can't handle an explosion. How could they handle clandestine operations? So they can't do that. Not to mention, it's not very expensive to do these things. They get dedicated people. They raise people up to be loyal to specific countries, and they are in other countries. They work from the inside out, and they're very effective at that, right? They use it for political power. They use it for leverage, all sorts of things. But never in a true operation do they send something just blatant, flat out, right in people's faces. After World War II, when the agencies were created, that was their mission, to begin to hunt down and seek out these people. Why? Because they found that straightforward assault tactic, it just doesn't work. It's not efficient enough. You really can't get anything done. It costs too many resources. Plus, when the people find out, the people can join in with the effort of hunting down these people, so they do it differently. You don't know who the enemy is in the U.S. There are Americans in the U.S. that are not Americans. There are people you trust in. They are dirty. If you knew who they really were, you would not advocate for these people. But they're playing games with you, and you are joining a side, bolstering based on their information. You're bolstering your stance against another. They cause the public to do exactly what they want the public to do. And the public, being like cattle, they just follow along. Because if you empower a person and you make that person believe that somehow their intellect has caused them to have the upper hand on everybody else, they know the element of pride, and they use that against people every single day. If Christians would back away from pride, they wouldn't fall for such things. Their eyes would be opened. They would not participate in this global effort to really taint the public. Never forget, all the wars, all the fights, and all the spiritual attacks are truly against you. And every time you participate, you're on the wrong side. You're not on the right side. Well, it's on the wrong side. So be careful how you engage in the world, right? And this is partly, there's a side of this I know so well, which is why I have a plea for everybody to turn back to Christ in a hurry, to really begin to change their ways according to Christ. Not according to me, not according to anybody else, but according to Christ. To really find who Jesus is and start changing your ways before it's too late. There are a large number of people inside the Christian community, and it's already too late for them. They're sold out to evil, and they don't know it. And it shows by way of their emotional unhinging. They are murderous inside. It's just covered over right now. But there are trigger events that will take place, and you begin to see these people in action. But I'm telling you, the people will promote them rather than chastise them. The ones who stand for God's truth are spit on in this world, and the ones who stand for man's truth are elevated. That's what's happening before your eyes. If you stand for the truth, Jesus, what he installed in the earth, you're going to be spit upon. You're going to be disrespected, talked about, everything else. Why? Because it's based in a straightforwardness of love and forgiveness, of giving, not taking, right? Not forcing a standard, but doing all things by invitation. The standards of Christ are far different from man's, but people do not want that. They want their paradise, the illusion they have in their minds to come true. They believe in the movie world. All the media that people have been exposed to, they've made media real in their own lives. They've made it manifest, and this is what they want. And they're disconnected from a real truth, a simple truth. It's getting to the point where they can't see it. They can find no reasoning to forgive. And they even justify murder. And they love murderous people. And then, worst of all, The Lord put you here to be an ambassador to the kingdom. But that's not what many are doing. They're becoming ambassadors to murderers and rapists and everything else you can think of. And they do it in a very clean way, so they think. They won't escape. Their hands are full of blood, full of the blood of the innocents. Innocent does not mean you're doing everything right. Innocent means you have kept the standards of the Lord by way of not murdering your neighbor, not plotting evil against your neighbor. Which is why these times seem to be invisible to a lot of people. They cannot see the time they live in. And their lives are becoming more and more spiritually challenged. Many, their hearts are waxing colder and colder, because iniquity is everywhere, and they are adopting the ways of iniquity rather than the ways of Christ. Because when Christ comes back, there will be a remnant. A remnant is a piece of what was, a shadow of what was. A crumb of a cookie is a remnant of the cookie. A remnant is not the actual, a remnant of a cookie is not the actual cookie. It's the evidence that a cookie was there. That's what the remnants are, the leftovers. So it won't be that many. And more people are slipping, which means those who do follow Christ, more and more, they're going to have to be careful. You know what the Lord said? In your patience, possess ye your souls. In your patience. Don't rush anything, and don't be in a rush for things, but possess your soul.